Very good morning, students. I am teacher Dr. Salungi TVs from Sri Shivaji Vidya Mandir and Junior College, Aunda. I welcome all of you in this session of English language. Students, in the previous session, we discussed all the activities from the section Icebreaker. Today, in this session, we are going to begin with the actual poem Father Returning Home, written by Dilip Chitre. So before we begin the actual poem, let us discuss something about the poet Dilip Chitre. The poem Father Returning Home is written by the poet Dilip Chitre, who was bilingual poet and translator with a remarkable work in Marathi as well as in English. His versatile creativity extends to paintings, filmmaking, and his notable contribution as a magazine columnist. He received the prestigious Sahitya Academy Award both for poetry and for his well-known translation work Says Tuka, popular Abhangas by Sant Tukaram. This work of translation he started at the age of 60. So, let us discuss something about the poem Father Returning Home. The poem Father Returning Home is taken from Traveling in a Cage. It describes a life of suburban commuter. Commuter means the people who travel for job and return home. The poem depicts his dull, monotonous, exhausting and pitiable daily routine, forced alienation at home, which is reflected through the stale food and lack of sharing, seems to be the subject of the poem. His children refuse to share their joys and sorrows with the hard-working father, who as a result is forced to retire into solitude. This very painful loneliness is a symbol of man's isolation from the materialistic man-made world. Truly speaking, the description given in this poem goes beyond the loneliness and monotonous life of poet's father. This poem is an account of any old man who works hard for his family but leads monotonous life where no one is there to speak with him, to communicate with him, to understand his feelings. So this is what we have discussed about the poem Father Returning Home. Now let us come to the title of the poem. The title of the poem is Father Returning Home. So when we think of the title Father Returning Home, the title Father Returning Home is appropriate literally as well as metaphorically. The title mainly focuses on the poet's father and his daily traveling to home from workplace. As the poem is detailed depiction of father's regular journey, routine work and adverse condition, the title in this sense seems to be suitable. The title of this poem also reveals that the poet Dilip Chitre, as a keen observer, has presented the pitiable condition of his father in this poem. Now, I will speak about the style of the poem. There are two stanzas in this poem. The first stanza has 12 lines, whereas the second stanza consists of 13 lines. There is no rhyme scheme, no rhyme in the poem. In other words, the rhyme is not followed in this poem. The poem is written in the free verse format, free verse form. The language used in this poem is very simple and easy to understand. Of course, in the poem, when we go through poem, there are so many symbolic expressions in the poem, and the speaker of this poem is the poet himself. So this is what we have discussed about the poet Dilip Chitre. We have also discussed something about, or the central idea of the poem, Father Returning Home. We have also little bit discussed about the title of the poem, Father Returning Home. I also told you the style of the poem. Now let us come to the actual poem, Father Returning Home. So I read the line. Let us look at page number 116. There are two stanzas in the poem. I told you we will study, we will learn, we will discuss only first stanza, which has 12 lines. So let us look at the first stanza. I read the first line. My father travels on the late evening train. So the poem begins with the poet's description of his father's routine journey or traveling home. The father is traveling in a late evening train after finishing his daily work for the day. In the first line, if you look at the line, in the first line, the expression late evening train reveals the fact that how long the father works so that it regularly gets late for him to return home. So I hope you must have understood the first line of the poem. I read the second line. Standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. In the train, the father is standing among the silent commuters. Commuters means passengers. In the yellow light. This line shows his sufferings during the journey. After working so hard, he is returning home standing on the footboard as he doesn't get a place there to relax. In the second line, the expression or phrase, if you look at the second line, the expression phrase, the silent commuters indicate that there is no communication, there is no conversation and friendliness between poet's father and other passengers or commuters in the train. It shows the materialistic and mechanical life of the common man in metropolitan or cosmopolitan cities. In the same line, if you look at the expression, the yellow light symbolically shows the dullness, the monotony in the life of poet's father. So in this way, in the second line, the expressions silent commuters and yellow light tell us a lot. Now let us come to the third line. Suburbs slide past his unseen eyes. The suburbs are sliding past the moving train. In this line, the expression, the phrase unseen eyes means the poet's father has no interest to look at those suburbs or landscapes outside the train. He is unmoved by these scenes because he has seen those suburbs or scenes many times and finds nothing new or interesting in it. So, these sliding but unseen suburbs also add the sense of monotony or dullness in the life of the poet's father. Now let us come to the fourth and fifth line. I read the line. His shirt and pants are soggy and his black raincoat stained with mud and his bag stuffed with books. So together I explain the line number 4th and 5th. In this line, the poet makes us aware that it is monsoon season, rainy days. In this line, the word soggy tells us that father's dress is all wet with the rainwater and the black raincoat is damaged with mud. As I told you, it's monsoon season, rainy days. The bag the poet's father carries with him daily is stuffed with books. Due to old age, it seems that he is unable to carry it and therefore he struggles to handle it properly. These lines again show us poet's father has to face many difficulties during his journey. All these difficulties and problems get even worse in the rainy season. Again, his bag full of books hints that he is an educated and scholarly man. So, I have explained the line number 4 and 5. Now let us come to the 6th line. His eyes dimmed by age fade homeward through the mid-monsoon night. Now the poet gives us an impression of his father's age. His eyesight is dimmed by his old age. The father looks homeward with his low vision through the humid monsoon night. The gloomy atmosphere adds to the dullness of his life. Now I read the line number 8 and 9. Now I can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. Line number 8 and 9. Now the poet's father is getting down from the train as he is returning to the home from his workplace. Here the poet Dilip Chitre has used a fine simile as he compares getting down of his father from the train and dropping word from a long sentence. This is really exclusive comparison. In other words, he says that his father gets down just like a word dropped from a long sentence. The poet indicates how unimportant his father is to the crowd in the train. It does not really make any difference whether he gets down or not. It shows there is no relevance between poet's father and the rest of the world. So this stanza is these two lines tell us the poet's father's condition. Now I come to the last 3 lines, line number 10, 11 and 12. First I read the line number 10, 11 and 12. You look at the stanza, I read the line. He hurries across the length of the grey platform, crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. So after getting off the train, the father hurries towards his home. He crosses the grey platform and the railway line and finally enters the lane. His chappals, if you look at the last line of the first stanza, his chappals sticky with mud cannot prevent him hurrying onward, hurrying towards home. The poet has used the word hurries twice in these 3 lines to bring in a sense of escapism from the dull atmosphere, grey platform and muddy streets where no one would care for him. He just wants some solace at his own home. The expression, if you look at the line number 11, the last phrase, the expression grey platform here suggests old age, dullness in the life of poet's father. So in this way, we have discussed the first 12 lines from the first stanza in this session. I hope you must have understood what the poet Dilip Chitre wants to tell us from the first stanza. The first stanza totally focuses on the poet's father's traveling from his workplace to the home. In the next session, we will continue the second stanza of the same poem, Father Returning Home. So, I conclude my lecture here. I stop here. Thank you.